Right now, we're going to start with the top 10 questions veterans have with service connected disabilities when they're applying for that. So, the first question that we have here is, how do I apply for VA disability benefits? Okay, how do I apply as a veteran? Ken, if you want to take that for us.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Wonderful question. So obviously, before it used to be this really drawn out mystery on how you'll be able to do so. Actually, needing to go to the regional office to fill out paperwork, pretty antiquated way. But with that, the VA is really, really put out in a space. They've actually ramped up their technological services. So with that being said, you actually can go to va.gov, log in and sign up there. You'll be able to sign up, register for an account. And once you register for an account, at that point, you would, one, be able to fill out your disability claim. Okay. On there, it'll ask you, well, you'll have to go down to the prompt, but it'll ask you, do you want to fill out a disability claim? And with that being said, you can actually make that selection to go ahead and fill out that disability claim. But what I will tell you is that you want to make sure that you're reading all the questions carefully and actually making sure that you're noting all the information throughout the entire application. Then the application, whether if it's a manual application or online, what it is, you need to make sure that you're filling out everything properly. Okay, and the manual application is a form that's called a 21 TAT 526 EZ. Okay, that is the manual form. All right. So you'll need to request this form, fill the form out, complete the form. Once the form is completed, I would advise, just advise to provide any evidence that you have. And at that point, please go ahead and submit your claim.
Absolutely. So they could fill that form out as a paper form, and they could also
Yes.
do that online on their account.
Yes, and when you fill it out manually, you can either one take it down to your local VA regional office to submit it. You can two fax that form, okay, or three you can go ahead and use a good old snail mail and go ahead and mail it off. So there's multiple ways that you can go ahead and submit your claim. So there's again, you can kind of navigate that landscape there yourself. But again, if you have any questions for us, we'll definitely love to assist with that. But my advice, I would probably do it online on the online landscape, but just kind of get you there a little bit faster.
Okay, sounds good. Great response there. Great response. So, question number two. Okay, question number two. What are the eligibility requirements to receive VA disability benefits?
Oh wow, that's a great question. That's a great question. You know, I think I need to talk to the director of operations because if I'm giving too much secret to the sauce, I love veterans, so I always want to make sure you guys have everything. But with that, the primary things that you need for service connection and disability is specific three primary things when we're talking about disability, right? You're talking about an injury in service, all right, or some type of complaint or injury in service, right? And then also you want to also have evidence, right, of that, and also currently. And then next, you also want, not only that, you also need the information, again, the injury and service, the current injury, and also a diagnosis. Okay, with a nexus letter. Again, a lot of people, we talk about these nexus letters, they're just so like a very difficult thing to obtain or encrypted. Again, a nexus letter that can be able to assist you throughout that process. And basically, that's all, just having a medical professional provide you with a medical opinion and a determination if your injury is associated with military service. Okay, that's something that is that's something that is needed with the claim, because at the end of the day, if you try to go through the VA system without one, a lot of times we kind of understand the result of that. So to eliminate that, not saying you're going to get service connected, I'm not saying that at all. But the only thing I'm saying is that having this medical opinion with your claim, it provides a little bit more support.
Got it. Got it. Okay. So, yeah, so I have two kind of follow ups to that one. want to kind of dive a little bit more. Now, you mentioned a nexus letter, okay? So
Yes, sir.
we won't dive too much because we ain't trying to give them all the secret to the sauce, at least not on this episode right here regarding that process. But
Hmm.
I was speaking with the veteran earlier today, and he mentioned submitting with the claim a buddy letter. Okay, they were talking about a buddy letter, and he was talking about having someone that he knew, I guess, and served with write that buddy letter. So now, is that buddy letter, kind of explain the differences and the nuances between that letter versus a nexus letter as far as what will kind of be, I guess, more preferred when submitting that claim?
Oh wow, this is an awesome question. We get this question all the time in regards to our veterans and submitting buddy letters and so on. So I want to tell you guys the buddy letter again also references to a buddy letter and also something called a lay statement. A lay statement would be supporting evidence of your statement, and buddy letter is a buddy statement that again a military friend of someone or another military personnel that was there actually provides you with a letter of statement of support. So when we're talking about that, a lot of times I will tell you, just based on first level knowledge, again at the regional office, when they're processing different things, when you're being processed, and they're reviewing all your evidence, reviewing all your information. 9 times out of 10, and again, this is just based on my experience, and I've been doing this for a long time, that the probative weight will not hold on a buddy letter until it is up an appeals decision. That's when again you can begin to see some type of results or determination or input that is included within a buddy letter there.
Okay, great, man. See, we getting into answering a lot of detailed things because people are like, oh man, y'all just answering these basic little questions. It's a lot of different nuances here that
Yeah.
educate you on what you really need. So, Kenneth, thank you for that. I actually have another follow up in regards to that question. Now, when we're talking about who's eligible, right?
Okay.
Now, obviously you had to serve, you have to have maybe been active duty, right? But I know there's some different nuances of service where maybe you were medically discharged and you didn't serve your whole enlistment period, or maybe you didn't even make it through basic training, right?
Mm.
So let's talk a little bit about that when we're talking about the eligibility to receive service connection, and at where in that process of service would it actually count towards being able to have a documented service connection?
So, and just to rephrase your question or restate the question, you're asking if in when you service again when you're while you're in service, are you able to receive service connection whether if you were medically discharged in boot camp or any type of format? Is that when does it is it a problem of service connection? When do you think you're not going to get service connection based upon your time in service, right?
Yeah, exactly. I guess the question is, I guess, when will you technically be considered a veteran, right? Because
Okay. Oh.
because we've had some different encounters with people where they didn't serve all the way. They got into boot camp and realized it wasn't for them, and then they were discharged. And
Mhm.
I know in some of those scenarios, they still could actually be qualified to be a veteran, which means they could potentially have any service connection that may have occurred during that time.
That is a great question. That is a great question. So, so you're considered a veteran technically once you are discharged from service, active duty Title 10 service. Okay, uh, other under any other conditions other than dishonorable. Okay, any other conditions other than dishonorable. So at that point, that's when you're considered a veteran for VA purposes, right? However, considerations of veterans that can be a wide range of definitions. But when we're speaking solely about VA benefits, as long as you're discharged, with active duty service, okay, and Title 10 service, you are considered a veteran as long as you discharge under conditions other than dishonorable. Okay, that is when you're considered a veteran. All right. So there, I know there's so many different nuances when we're talking about veterans, such as being a reservist, being not only being a reservist, being such having such jobs as merchant marines, right? Because again, they provide assistance to the military. So we take that in consideration. We take that in consideration, right? So with that being said, with that being said, as a reservist, you're considered a veteran, right? When you actively have Title 10 service. When you actively have Title 10 service. All right. However, that does not preclude you from getting benefits. Okay. It does not necessarily preclude you from getting benefits. All right. Because again, you can have a line of duty injury while you're not under Title 10 service and actually consider that as a disability for the VA. So just to answer your question, just on a formal basis, you're considered a veteran the moment you are discharged from active duty service under conditions other than dishonorable.
Absolutely. Okay. Okay. So someone that, let's say, they were in basic training and they got injured or something happened and they end up where they couldn't serve, that person could actually, in certain scenarios, obviously, it's going to be on a case by case basis, be considered
Mhm.
a veteran during that situation.
Yeah, during that stint, they can be considered a veteran as well. Yes.
Absolutely. Man, great, man. That's definitely some heat right there. So thank you for answering that. We're gonna get to question number 3 right here. Okay. Question number 3 is, how are VA disability ratings determined? Okay, so I want to give a little bit of context to that question,
Hmm.
especially with us being here on YouTube, right? Because I know there's a lot of people talking about service connection, and really appreciate what all the channels do in terms of educating our veterans, and I definitely want to do that. So I know there's some videos that I've seen, and they're talking about like hearing loss and tinnitus claims, right? And we're talking about that tinnitus. You typically are able to get rated for only 10% service connection for that. Where, so basically what I'm talking about is that some conditions have a maximum rateability. And I know you'll go into that, but there's a channel here that kind of advertises, and there's a few videos I've seen that you can actually get 90% for that claim. So I would definitely want to get you to kind of unpack that. But let's start them off with just letting them know how those um, disability ratings are determined.
Got it. Got it. Oh man. You know, one thing I do want to always convey amongst this channel, you guys, a lot of our information, we're very equitable. You can find a lot of this information to be fact. Okay. We will never provide you any information that is false. Ultimately, if we misspeak in any type of direction of that nature, it is never to do any harm to the veteran or the veteran's claim. If we stand corrected, we will always make sure that we stand corrected. Okay. However, what I will tell you is specific claims of that. Obviously, criteria changes. There's so many different rating criterias. They change on a regular basis when you're dealing with such things as a working document as the CFR, right? The Code of Federal Regulations. However, when we're talking about rating a disability such as tinnitus, has a maximum rating of 10%. Of 10%. However, okay, we must be clear. Just because you're rating tinnitus at 10%, having associated hearing loss can go to 90% and even above. Okay. So that's something that they could have been speaking about. But having a partner like Mr. Jones here to provide context, that's what it's about, right? So we need to kind of dive into those those crux, because a lot of those crux are going to uncover the information that you need to assist you. And if those, and again, if this channel doesn't assist you in regards to those uncovering some of that detailed information, please reach out to us. I guarantee we'll be able to assist you. Just even if basic answering questions, we would love to do that with you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, so that now that definitely helps kind of explain it. So, okay, you can have like secondary conditions um, added to the tinnitus with the hearing loss, and it gets it above that 10% for that particular claim. But when we're talking about claims, and I guess you know this is kind of hard to have the answer for. It's like, well, you know, why are things, I guess, rated the way they are from a sense of, you know, when we get into like the VA math, right? You know, I think a lot of veterans have that question of like, well, wait a minute, if I add up my tinnitus, if I add up my PTSD, this, and this, it adds up to 100, but I'm not rated at 100, right? So,
Mhm.
you know, tell us a little bit about that, because I think when they're talking about that rating criteria, it sort of gets into that. And again, we'll have a full video. We're just answering these questions in a general sense, and definitely feel free to leave some comments and we could delve into your specific questions, but we want to just cover this in a general sense right now.
Most definitely. Thank you. That's an awesome question. VA math is a very interesting concept that the VA has imposed. This was something that was imposed, obviously, to make it a little bit more challenging in regards to getting those higher increases. But before I get there, I do want to make sure I make something very clear. You mentioned something about secondary claims in regards to tinnitus and hearing loss and different things of that nature. So I want to make sure everything is clear in regards to hearing loss. Hearing loss is a standalone issue, and also tinnitus is a standalone issue. There were some talks about last year the criteria of that changing. However, as of now, there has not been any movement amongst that. And when we're talking about that criteria, we're meaning that that you must have tinnitus is basically going to be inside the hearing loss criteria. But again, that's a whole nother topic that we can speak about. But everything is a standalone issue. Okay.
Yeah, man. So that VA math, man, it confuses all of us. You know, math wasn't my favorite subject in high school, college, no school. I don't know how I got through it. You got KJ, NBA. I know y'all see that, but it definitely doesn't make me a math whiz, especially with the VA math. Kenneth, I hope you could explain how that interacts with the whole rating process.
Got it, got it. Yeah, so I'm not a mathematician myself, but I think again, whoever invented the formula of this, they were. So when we're talking about VA math, we got to understand, that your disability ratings goes from 0 to 100%. Okay, in 10% increments. Okay, in 10% increments. So if you're ever hearing someone that says, "Oh yeah, I have 32% in disability," we probably want to stay away from them, right? Because again, in regards to taking information. So but it goes from 0 to 100% in 10% increments. And with the VA, they when you're getting rated for any type of disability, you can be rated 10, 20, 30, 40, whatever the scale is. However, typically the VA typically uses a formula. Okay, this formula is then applied to any of your ratings. Okay, that you may have, and when it's applied to your actual rating, it's gonna go ahead and spit out an overall compensable degree of rating of what you're gonna receive. Okay, it is a very complex function. We're gonna have another video that's gonna dive into this a lot further, but ultimately, just know this: we want to make sure that we're striving for again higher disability ratings, maximum ratings, and different things of that nature to get us over the hump of the VA math. But again, you always can consult with a subject matter expert to be able to navigate those waters for you. Okay.
Absolutely. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. All right, man. We getting there. Almost halfway there. You gotta keep pushing. You gotta keep going. All right. So
Yes, sir.
question number 4. how long does it take to receive a decision from the VA regarding disability claims?
Oh, this is $1 million question here, right? Because again, if I had a crystal ball that again on someone's claim being processed, that would definitely assist any veteran that has a claim in right now, right? So, but when we're talking about disability claims, we must understand that the average fluctuates. It's a fluctuation of average of what you get in your process of your disability claims. However, that does not mean that that's going to particularly affect you, right? So when we're talking about that, we must understand that the VA typically looms around 115 days to 125 days, somewhere around there in regards to completing your disability claim from start to finish, and that's an average. Okay. But with that being said, that may not be your claim. I've seen claims that's in the pipeline for 3 years, and that's at the basic level. Okay, so however, the VA has gotten much better processing claims, so that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to affect you. But what I will tell you is that when you submit a claim, expect to receive any type of notifications or decisions or anything of that nature around the 120-day mark. So you can give some type of cushion. Some again, like I said before, it fluctuates, right? It could be 105 days, 120 days, 115 days on average. This is a nationwide average of claims, but we must also understand that your claim may take a lot longer. But what I'll tell you is this: is that many claims are being processed at a faster rate. Definitely, if you have your supporting evidence that's needed, you're very responsive. You get everything that you need to them. Again, it still is a process, but it's a process that actually shrinks a bit, and hopefully, again, that process is shrinking a bit for you.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, in other words, Kenneth is telling you here today, don't confuse the ball head with the crystal ball, okay? We don't know exactly when you're going to receive that, but we can give you some estimated times, and this is how it typically works. And we won't go into it too much on this one right here, but this is why you want to
Yeah,
submit a fully developed claim. We have a video on that. Boom, check that out, right? So that can definitely help with your time of receiving that decision as well. So thanks
for
for
sure,
that,
for
man.
sure. Of course, of course. This head may not be a crystal ball in regards to average time frames, but it has a lot more information. Okay.
Absolutely, absolutely. That works out. That works out. I got my little situation right there, man. I got the
Uh,
hat on, so it's all good. It's all
well,
good.
you know what? We'll find out when the housing market crash over there. You're gonna let us know. We got the crystal ball over there as well. So,
Absolutely, absolutely. All right. So question number five. Question number
okay,
five.
yeah.
Okay, so how do I appeal a VA disability decision that I disagree with?
Oh, great question. Great question. So you're ultimately going to receive the information on your notification letter in regards to appeals, right? So, typically, there are several different levels of appeal. When we're talking about appeal, they actually changed the way they do things in regards to appeals a few years ago. But I'm not going to give you the legacy appeal, the old way, and different things of that nature. I'm going to focus on how things are done now. So, how you would appeal is you have a first level of supplemental claim by trying to reopen a rated decision that has been denied. However, you would need something called new and material evidence. All right, new and material evidence is evidence that one has new evidence, but also material evidence. Typical material evidence, and this is a older definition, right? Material evidence is evidence that's associated with the claim. All right, and that is specifically for that condition. So, okay, for that appeal, for again supplemental claims. Then we have another level, and that's called higher level reviews. All right, these higher level reviews are decision makers or that has been doing this for an extremely long time that has the qualifications to make sure that they're completing these decisions at a high level. Okay, and again, these decision makers reviews the claim more in depthly than a basic level review. Okay, so that's called a higher level review. That one particularly does not need or come with any supporting evidence needed. That one is will be specifically just reviewed overall. Okay, it's just going to be reviewed overall. And they're going to dive into the medical opinions. They're going to dive into your evidence. They're going to dive into any crux that they can possibly. And again, hopefully, we pulled the card of having someone good, but they're going to go ahead and dive into the crux of your claim and hopefully get the claim overturned. All right. Then we have the next level of the Board of Veterans of Appeals, right? The BVA. The BVA, they are the law judges and the official Veterans Appeals Management Office, which is located in Washington, D.C. That's the office that receives all this information on these claims here, right? Typically, again, they're reviewed by another, a law judge in their office to make a decision amongst the claims that is received from veterans nationwide. Okay, so this one here is a very in-depth, comprehensive analysis of their claim. When it goes up to the Board of Veterans of Appeals, it is something that is looked at in detail. And with all these appeals, such as again, with all these appeals, typically again for the higher level review and also for specific again and again it's case by case basis, but higher level reviews and also Board of Veterans Appeals, you're able to have a hearing where you can be able to tell your side of things. So that's a pretty good aspect as well. But what I will tell you is, when we're having a hearing, those are great in regards to you telling your side of the story of the instance. But typically, let's just take it for what it is. Ultimately, I want to navigate veterans in the right direction. So if that's something that you have, please give us a call because I want to be able to support you there.
Absolutely. No, that's great. That's great. So now we'll get on to the next question. Keep the situation moving, keep the show going. So now we're on question number 6. And with this one, I want to kind of frame and give some context to it just to kind of help because it can kind of go all over the place. So obviously when we get in service, you may be 18 years of age or you may be 30, right? Because people join the service at different points of their lives. So
Hmm.
I think this is where this question is coming from because obviously the older you are, the more life events that you may have happened to you, or even if I guess if you're younger, you might have had a high school injury or anything of that nature. But as we age, things start to break down, right? So the question is for question number 6: can I receive VA disability benefits if I have a pre-existing condition?
Okay. Okay. Good question. Good
Good
question.
question. Right, right.
So go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. And I guess some of where we want to take it, I know we spoke about it in another video before. It's like, obviously when you join service, right, you take a physical. They note everything down that any kind of ailments that you've already suffered from already.
Hmm.
So, hey, so let's kind of talk about, well, hey, I had some back issues. They may have gotten worse while I was in service. And now that I'm discharged from service, can I still claim my back as an injury? I guess is where the veteran was taking this question here.
Got it. Got it. Okay. So yes, the answer to the question is yes. So a pre-existing condition can ultimately be service connected. Um, Again, if the injury transpired during military service. However, when we're talking about that, we want to be very cautious and careful with the language we use, right? If it is an injury that transpired prior to military service, it is that injury. However, a typical treatment usually, over time gets better, right? It's supposed to get better if you have the proper treatment. However, doing such things, doing anything that has transpired while in military service, right? This can ultimately um, flare up the condition beyond its normal progression. So, with that being said, obviously it could be aggravated. And that's a point of reference that we want to speak about. Aggravated, right? Because again, ultimately, being aggravated could really put you in a bad position. Okay, because now that same back injury that you spoke about, having that physical, there could have been waivers, there could have been any, we don't know, right? But that injury is now worse than what it was when you actually joined. So to be able to receive service connection, yes, that's plausible and can be something of a substantial nature to you.
Absolutely. Great, great, man. Because again, we want to make sure our veterans are taken care of. So, yeah, if you have something and it got worse during service, definitely you want to get that claim. So, thanks for clearing that up for us. Question number 7, man. We almost there. Kenneth, how you holding up? You all right?
Man, you know what? Go ahead and I'll throw about 40 more questions. I think we can. I think we can go all night long. Let's do it.
Let's do it, man. Let's do it. All right. So, question number 7 is how much money can I receive in VA disability benefits?
Oh wow. All right. So, there's ultimately so many different avenues to receive a compensation from the VA. Obviously, we want to be equitable about how we're pursuing those. And when we're doing so, there's many ways that you can receive compensation. There's so many different things that's eligible to you. So, I don't want to put a specific number on your benefits that you can be received. But when we're talking about just disability ratings, basic level disability ratings obviously can go from 150 $56. I think it just changed 100 $130 somewhere around there in regards to 10%, but all the way up to $3,600, right, at 100%. So your benefits that's afforded to you is something that's going to be consistently provided on a regular basis. So ultimately, this is something that can support you and your family, particularly on your lifestyle that you live. So, with that being said, but again, there's such avenues as a special monthly compensation that you can receive, caregiver programs, uniform allowance, so many education benefits. There's so many different things that's eligible of compensation. So, uh, I don't want to speak about compensation because that's primarily it could range so vastly. But when we're talking about 0 to 100, the basic communication is around again 100, $150 all the way up to $3,600. That's just a general range, so please do not quote me on the exact amounts. But yes.
Absolutely. No, no, good thing, good things, good information there. Because, yeah, essentially, I'm glad you brought up that special monthly compensation that could extend that benefit. If you are married and you have a spouse, if you have children, you get additional compensation for that. If you're taking care of a parent, different things of that nature. So it's a lot that could add on to that. But it's going to go based on where you're rated on that 10 to 100% scale. And now,
Mhm.
what I want to make sure that everyone understands about that compensation scale is that you can be rated at 60%, right? Or you can be rated at 100%. Don't think that if you're rated at 50%, for example, that's going to be half the amount of 3600. It doesn't work that way. When we were talking about
Yeah,
that VA math earlier, right, it's not equitable in that sense that 10%, then it doubles with 20 and doubles with 30. It doesn't go that way. Okay, so somebody that's receiving, you know 50 to 70% compensation is vastly different than somebody that's receiving 100%. So you want to always make sure that you talk to the experts and the professionals, and that you're at the maximum compensation level based on your disability and ailments. And again, as Kenneth just mentioned, You could even be at 100%, but maybe you're eligible for a special monthly compensation that could definitely increase your benefit. Maybe you're adding your children or spouse that can increase your benefit. And ultimately, if you are going through a Voc Rehab educational program, that actually can increase your benefits as well. So yeah, there's a lot of different things to increase it. That's why ultimately, when you take a consultation with Veterans for Veterans, we make sure we kind of ask you those detailed questions and explain to you all the different nuances of your total benefits package.
Agree. There's just so many different variations. Again, we're gonna uncover each and every rock for you, and then actually just make sure that you're just trying to maximize everything, right? Maximization of how we're going to be able to get there. So, but yes, again, it's a variation on what you actually can receive.
Absolutely. Great, great. So now we at question number 8. Man, this is one that we thought long and hard about before we definitely had this one on here. But good question, man. Whatever veteran asks this question all the time, thank you for that. We getting Kenneth to answer this question for us today and clear this up, break it down so it could forever be broken down. All right. So the question number 8 is, how do I find a qualified VA disability attorney or representative?
Oh wow. This one here, ultimately there's so many different VSOs that's out there to support you in regards to service, public service, and being able to give you some advice and assist you throughout that process. But again, when we're talking about VSOs, it's just one of those. Again, sometimes you get a great VSO, sometimes you don't get the best VSO. When we're going to speak about VSO, I mean a veteran service officer, right? And that's the kind of correct term to utilize when speaking about those organizations there. So again, those VSOs, they provide you assistance, on a level that they can provide you on. Okay, it's just going to be very difficult to be able to get VSO or an attorney that's going to be able to be there with you throughout the entirety course of the process. But how to find one? There's typical representatives on the VA website that can definitely that can be seen there. And we do particularly encourage utilization of VSOs different than that and that nature, because at the end of the day, we want to be able to make sure that our veterans getting a fair shake at certain things. But ultimately, it's one of those situations where you put yourself in a position where a lot of those, attorneys and VSOs aren't going to provide you the ultimate assistance to expedite your claim, get things done, and moving forward with things. At least getting it to the VA, because ultimately they're only there to provide basic level information, and some you're not even able to get in contact with, right? They're not going to reach out to you. They're not going to provide you the customer service that's going to be afforded to you. Again, that those are the things that we're going to provide to you, and ultimately getting you from step A to step Z. Again, the with the treatment that you deserve. Ultimately, okay. So, but again, we do encourage utilizing those services, just due to the fact we want to ultimately take on the veterans who has not had a fair shake, and that is trying to just to get things done. Okay, that's exactly what we're here to do: get things done for you. So, again, give us a call. We'll be able to assist you in regards to that. But as I said before, again, utilizing your resources that's out there for you, such as VSOs, I think it would be, afforded to you, and should be something that most veterans should utilize first.
Absolutely. No, that's great. That's great. I mean, yeah, and as you speak there, Kenneth, there's a lot of kind of different things that cross my mind in that space in regard to relatability, right? Because it's going to depend on a lot of different factors. like you alluded to, each VSO representative and even each organization is going to be different, and then each representative in that organization is going to be different as well. So it just kind of depends on who you get, on the level of service that you're going to be able to procure, right? So I mean, even we talk about like the public school system, right? It's like you can go to one public school and one parent might say, "Oh, this school is wonderful, it's great," and another parent from that same school can say, "Oh, my kid had a terrible experience. They didn't learn anything." They may have just had two different teachers, or it may have been the same teacher but just a different learning style, right? For that
Mm.
particular student. So ultimately, who you decide to work on, who you decide to work with for your benefits is really going to be nuanced to the particular veteran, right? And what you need out of that experience based on how they communicate with you, how often, and different things. So definitely do your research, talk to a few different organizations, right? So that you could kind of test the water, see what they offer, and ultimately see if you can build a good relationship with the person you're working with so that you can get the maximum out of that experience.
That's a great point. You hit the nail on the head when you said that it's a relationship. We build relationships here, and that's what we do. We ultimately want to have that relationship carry on even beyond this. So with having a great standing with the community, we ultimately want to build relationships, stand on those relationships, and push through to ultimately build those relationships.
Absolutely, man. Great response to that question, Kenneth. Now we're at the final roads, man. We at question number 9. We gave y'all some bonus questions in there earlier on, questions inside of questions, right? But this is officially question number 9. Okay, question number 9. Can I receive both VA disability benefits and Social Security disability benefits?
It's a great question. So now that question, the answer is yes. You are able to receive both benefits. There's two different benefits that's allotted to you, right? Again, there's a total separate agency in regards to SSA, so Security Administration. Then we're talking about the VA, which is two allocated monies. It is not double dipping in the pot when we're talking about the benefits that's afforded to you. So you have the ability to receive both benefits simultaneously.
Absolutely. Great response to that. Now we at the last question. Thank you guys for making it to this part of the video. Really
Yes.
appreciate it. I'm not going to ask you to like, comment, or subscribe, anything like that, because I trust you already did that. If you made it this far, I trust that you already did that. Matter of fact, you probably already shared this video to your Facebook page as well, or something like that. I know you did that. I won't even ask you. We already good. We're already good.
Well,
So
he's not going to ask. Can you like, subscribe, and comment? We'd love to get it back into you. Just even give us a call, email, anything.
absolutely. All right. So question number 10. Thanks for getting here with us, Kenneth. Are there any VA disability benefits available for family members of veterans?
Yes, there are. There's so many benefits for the family of the veteran. And I don't only mean the children, their spousal benefits. Okay, there's so many different benefits, such things as Chapter 35, right? That's an education benefits, particularly for the dependents. And again, that's another video where we get in detail amongst that. There's Chant VA, right? That's medical insurance for specific dependents as well. There's survival benefits, right? DIC programs, definite immunity compensation programs. That's a huge aspect as well. There's also other ancillary benefits beyond that. That's offering, specific spousal benefits, right? There are just so many different other benefits for the particular of the dependents, right? Because again, we wouldn't be able to do what we do in the field without our family. So there are afforded benefits to you guys. Okay, so particularly in regards to the VA, there are benefits as well. And again, I just named pretty much again, again, I think that's the trifecta, right? In regards to those benefits, but there's other benefits as well when we're talking about dependents. Okay.
Absolutely, man. Thanks a lot, man. Wow, that was a lot of game that we provided today regarding service connection and the top 10 questions. So, Kenneth, thank you for answering those questions for us today. And definitely really appreciate your time on that, man. Did you have any closing words for this segment to kind of take the people out?
The closing word, only closing words that I have is you guys stay true to who you guys are, okay? Veterans, you guys are doing an amazing job out here. If no one has told you, you are doing a great job. We do all understand that getting out of military service is not an easy accomplishment. Going in is even harder one. So, with that being said, you are doing amazing. And again, as you continue to go through life, you're going to continuously to strive and come over hurdles. But with those hurdles are going to be beautifulness. That's going to be beauty on the other side of those. So, again, you are doing amazing.
Absolutely, man. Thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions, right, that you want to ask, obviously leave them down in the comments. Reach out if you are thinking about getting your benefits done or you have any questions that we can ask. We would love to kind of help you guys there. Let's continue to grow the community. We're going to get into our next segment here where we actually answer 10 of the most common questions when utilizing that VA loan. Okay, so we'll see you on the other side if you get there with us. All right, peace.
Yes, sir. Peace and blessings.